Sometimes I don't always want to make a recipe with a long list of ingredients to the point where it resembles a CVS receipt. There's nothing wrong with taking a much simpler approach, and that's what we're going to do in this video. I'll show you how to make 3 ingredient pancakes 5 different ways. Some of them are sweet while others are loaded with protein. At the end of the day, I'm sure you'll find something you'll like. Plus, these pancakes are super customizable. You can add toppings like nuts, fruit, and even chocolate to suit your fancy. Oh, and they're perfect for meal prep too. Place them in a container once cool and store them in the fridge or freezer for later. Plus, they're great for kids. Our 10-month-old son loves them, and I think I just heard him say you should subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Now, you can really use any kind of flour for these pancakes, but I am using oat flour, and I know this isn't a financial YouTube channel, but if you want to save some money, just blend your own oats to make oat flour. It's so easy. Throw them in a blender for like 10 seconds and that's it. So let's start off with my personal favorite, banana pancakes. Whenever I'm using a pan, I'll spray it over the sink to avoid making a mess on the stovetop. I'll be using medium heat for these pancakes, and you'll need to add 1 egg, half a cup of oats, and 1 banana to a bowl. These pancakes will taste a lot better when the banana is a few days old because as bananas ripen, starch is transformed into simpler sugars, making them taste sweeter. In other words, don't use them if they're green. Mix everything around with a whisk until you get that desired pancake batter. It should be looking pretty thick at this point, so we can go ahead and start making those pancakes. With this amount of ingredients, I was able to fit 4 medium-sized pancakes on one pan, so keep this ratio in mind if you plan on multiplying the recipe. You'll want to cook them for about 45 seconds to a minute on each side, or until you get that nice golden brown color. And macros for 4 banana pancakes are 322 calories, 50 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fat, and 12 grams of protein. Again, ripe bananas are ideal for this recipe, especially if you prefer a sweeter pancake, so keep that in mind. Next up, we have applesauce pancakes, where you'll need 1 egg, half a cup of applesauce, and half a cup of oat flour. You might notice the batter for these applesauce pancakes isn't as thick compared to the banana version, and that's because applesauce is just a little more watery, but it works nonetheless, and I was still able to fit 4 of them on the pan here. One thing I want to point out here is that the flavor with these will vary depending on the type of applesauce you use. Obviously, sweetened applesauce will make them sweeter, and the unsweetened version will make them a little bland, so choose whichever one you like more. I used unsweetened applesauce and I added some sugar-free table syrup, which is another option. Macros for 4 of these pancakes are 280 calories, 41 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fat, and 11 grams of protein. I think this is a great fall recipe. Throw some Greek yogurt on top and a little cinnamon, and you've got yourself a high-protein breakfast. Next up, we have Greek yogurt pancakes. For these, you'll need half a cup of oat flour, 1 egg, and 1 container of vanilla Greek yogurt. You might be saying to yourself, hey, that yogurt has many ingredients, so there's more than 3 in this recipe. And you might be right, but let's not overthink it. Now, these pancakes have a slight vanilla taste that I think works pretty well. It's definitely something to try if you enjoy eating yogurt on its own. Macros for these Greek yogurt pancakes are 330 calories, 42 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fat, and 23 grams of protein. They also have that fluffy texture like a regular pancake, but at the same time they feel a little dense from the yogurt, which I think will be more satiating and keep you full longer. Moving on to the cottage cheese pancakes, where you'll need 1 egg, 3/4 cup of cottage cheese, and half a cup of oats. And even though I like cottage cheese on its own, I did put everything in a blender because I didn't want them to have that chunky texture. So the big question is, how do these actually taste? I'm not gonna lie, they taste exactly like cottage cheese. There's simply just not enough ingredients to mask that flavor. So if you're not a fan of cottage cheese to begin with, go ahead and pass on these. Macros for 4 of these pancakes are 430 calories, 44 grams of carbs, 11 grams of fat, and 38 grams of protein. Now, if you're keeping track, that is the highest amount of protein in this video. I'll say for me, I think these pair well with peanut butter or powdered peanut butter. I've always really liked that combination. But yeah, there's just not a lot of ways to get extra protein in pancakes unless you use protein powder. Cottage cheese is always an option, as well as Greek yogurt like I showed you before. And last up, we have more of a traditional pancake recipe where you'll need half a cup of oats, 1 egg, and a 1/4 cup of milk of your choice. Approach this one a little different and threw the ingredients into a blender to make a thinner pancake, but if you want them fluffier, you can still use a bowl and a whisk like I did for the first 3 recipes. This also makes a more liquid pancake, so keep that in mind. I was only able to fit 2 on the pan here because I was using my medium-sized pan, but you'll still get 4 with this amount of ingredients. And yeah, these are also the most bland, so I definitely recommend using toppings like maple syrup, peanut butter, fruit, Nutella, and anything else that will add some flavor. Macros for 4 of these pancakes will be 246 calories, 30 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fat, and 13 grams of protein. Well, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, some of these will taste better than others, but I wanted to show you even when using limited ingredients, there are plenty of ways to make a pancake. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.